It's time for more VB MMA picks for UFC Fight Night. Hernandez versus Pereira on Saturday, October 19th from the Apex here in Las Vegas. VB, we brought JB along. We got a couple of guys going to talk fights here for this week's card. VB, I don't know. Hey, at least we got veterans here today, this weekend on the card, VB.
Yeah, I mean, this is an Apex card. It's not so like anything like UFC 307 or 308 that we got next week, but it's a good card. I think it's sneaky card for betting. I have some big bets on this card actually. So yeah, MTG same here, brother. So yeah, I think it's an interesting card, and we have the first ever appearance of JB here on the show. So I want to thank you for joining. He saved the show this week, so you know, thanks again, and yeah, how you like this card?
Thank you for having me on, bro. I appreciate it. You've been asking me for like a little while now, so I finally had the time to do it, and I jumped on the opportunity because, it's always a good time. It's a beautiful day out. I think these are some beautiful fights to make some beautiful money on, and I'm going to light this beautiful stogie while we break these fights down, my brother. So I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate you dealing with my Jewish degeneracy, but I'm excited for Contender Series tonight, and I'm excited for these fights as well. Hope we win some cash, bro.
Yeah, for sure. You can light it up, man.
Making a DJ's delight this weekend here with Fight
We're
Night.
gonna light up this card too.
We
Light
better.
up this card, exactly. Smoke them like some pack.
All right, let's get rolling, JB. We're gonna start pretty far into the card here. We're gonna have to move up the fights here to get the best ones going. It feels like here, but we do have guys we're well familiar with here. It's featherweights. 40-year-old Darren Elkins from Hobart, Indiana, fights out of Sacramento. He's 28-11. 18-10 in the UFC. He's won 2 of his last 3 and 4 of his last 6, including a round 3 submission win over TJ Brown as a 150 underdog. Last October, he's up against 39-year-old veteran Daniel Pineda. Pineda is from Dallas. He fights out of Houston, 28-16, just 5-7 in the UFC with 1 no contest. He's lost 2 straight, JB, including a unanimous decision loss to Wood. He was a 350 dog, however. That was at UFC 304 back in July. How about these veteran featherweights here?
So we got a 39-year-old man versus a 40-year-old. It's a great fight to start off the card. I do think Pineda's looks a little bit younger, a lot less wear and tear, I would assume, but both have a lot of fights. Actually, Pineda, even though he's the younger fighter, he does have the more experience by about 5 fights. While they both have the same amount of wins, both these guys are super experienced. Pineda been in the game since way back in the day. Elkins been in the game since way back in the day. Pineda's been across promotions as well. He's been in the UFC, goes to the PFL, he gets, those suspension, and now he's back in the UFC doing his thing. And a lot of guys with these types of records probably would have been cut by now. And that just shows you that the promotion likes these guys. And what's the reason that they like them is because they put on fun, exciting fights. So minus 200 on the total is pretty telling that when you get a Daniel Pineda fight, it's gonna more times than not, about every time, it's gonna be pure action from the beginning bell to the end. His problem though is he slows down as the fight goes on, and that's coming from a guy who enjoys this guy. At a 4-ounce fight club, a great UFC veteran. So I love the guy. I think he's a great coach. He's got that going on for him as well. He even said, I've heard in interviews that if this guy does wind up beating him, this is going to be his last fight. So it's all or nothing for this one. And he's put in a tough training camp. I've been keeping him up with him on social media. The guy's obviously putting in the work. At 39 years old, it's hard to get up. It's hard to do those sprints. It's hard to put in that road work like you did back in the day because your body just doesn't recover from it as much. But you still have that power, and he definitely still has the power. And I think he has a speed advantage here as well. I think it's evident on the tape. But, the ABCs do say always bet cardio, right? And I think Darren Elkins, just winds up staying in these fights. He finds a way, right? He's the damage for a reason because he's able to take a ton of damage and then he dishes it out to you. That win versus Mirsad Bektik is one of the greatest things I've ever seen in the octagon. He's getting the piss beat out of him for 2 rounds. Bektik is on top. He's pummeling him. His face is all bloody. He winds up just coming back at the end of the fight, gets a big knockout, face plants him, and then he roars into the crowd. I think that's probably my favorite Darren Elkins moment by far. Here's the thing, man. These last few fights, I would want to say that Pineda's definitely fought the better competition. He has lost them, but we're gonna, talk about Alex Caceres, top featherweight guy, in his day. He did have him in some sketchy spots in that fight, but it still was a back and forth. He went to decision with him, and same with Nathaniel Wood. I rate Nathaniel Wood way higher as an athlete, but man, Darren Elkins, how long can he keep doing it for? This is an opponent where if he just survives the early going, I think he'd be able to come back late, but I will be looking for that round one guillotine from Daniel Pineda, similar to what we saw in the OSP fight. He's going to probably hurt him on the feet, I think, early in the first round. He's got some great boxing. And I think this guy's going to shoot a shot, and Pineda's going to pull that guillotine. He's got a bunch of guillotines on the record. I believe he's 19-6 to the submission, and that probably should be 20 because one of them went to a no contest. So 20 wins by submission, 6 losses. I think this is sub probably. If it doesn't go to decision for Elkins, I think this is a lot of early equity for Pineda to get the round one sub via guillotine. I like the way he goes about it. I like the way he wraps up the full guard. I like the way he cuts the angle on it. He's got a good guillotine. That's all I'll say. I think he's a BJJ black belt, and I think it's legit. The thing is, as this fight goes late, I think Darren Elkins is allowed to take his back. Like we see with TJ Brown, when guys slow down, he just seems to get better and better. I don't rate TJ Brown as good as Daniel Pineda, though, but it's just the cardio at the end of the day that I have the problem with for Pineda. So I'll be looking to stab the round 1-2 sub maybe for Pineda. And then the later this fight goes, I think it's going to start to lean towards Darren Elkins. I wouldn't even be shocked if we saw a draw here because that's how live I think Pineda is to just 10-8 him in the first round. And then Darren is to, beat him up. And we've seen Pineda survive before, so it's not necessarily a finish 2-3, but Darren likes to put that pressure on. And who knows, man? We've seen him go out to the ground and pound. We've seen him go out to the sub before, so it's not impossible. I like Pineda, though, to get this one done here. I think he gets it done early via club and sub.
Terrific job, JB. VB, the thing that concerns me with these two, even though, with this being a closely rated fight, these guys certainly are veterans. But, with the veterans, the later the fight gets, the older you get, you can't wait around for a decision. We're going to see some fun here.
Yeah, I agree. The thing is, in this fight, I just don't see this fight going to decision, And I was looking at this line, I was like, on the money line, maybe Pineda is accurately favored, But at the same time, when Pineda loses, he usually gets finished. Even though in his last 2 fights, he looked okay, I guess. But he fought the 2 guys who barely finish anybody, Like Alex Caceres has 1 head kick win in 15 years, and Nathaniel Wood can't finish anybody either. So, I don't see much from that. It's a different stylistic fight here, in my opinion. And Darren Elkins is probably gonna get control in 2 and 3, and he's probably gonna unload on him as Pineda is gonna be tired, and I think he will get a TKO. So, I was, I'm not betting the money line, but I took Elkins by knockout plus for 75 for 0.7 units, and I sprinkled sub for 0.3. So it's basically ITD, but I have more money on. TKO, So, yeah, I like TKO here. I think it's a ground and pound finish. I would say Elkins looked pretty damn good in his last fight against TJ Brown. He subbed him, And even the last couple of fights, he's been fighting, lower level people. I mean, this guy also fought back in his day. He fought like Volkanovski. He won 1 round against him. He fought Cub Swanson. He fought, Charles Oliveira. He fought Chad Mendes, Jeremy Stevens, like in their primes, and only guy to sub him, JB, is Charles Oliveira, So I don't know if Pineda is the second guy to sub the guy, though. So Charles Oliveira kneebarred him, I think, or he was armbar or something like that. I got to check it.
I want to say it was a rear naked choke, brother.
Yeah, maybe. I remember it was an armbar or something. Maybe I'm wrong. But, yeah, either way, I think it's a volatile fight. I don't really trust anybody in this fight that much. They're like 80 years old combined, So hard to really bet money line. If you're betting Pineda, you probably want to do it by a finish too. So if I was betting Pineda, I would take Pineda ITD, which is plus 140 only. So maybe not, So yeah, I will take Elkins here as a pick slightly. I mean, it's probably a 50-50 kind of fight. If it gets to round 3, I'm pretty confident Elkins wins in round 3, or at least wins round 3 on scorecards, And the first 2 rounds are gonna be competitive, especially round 1. He probably is going to lose round 1. I would think he's probably favored to lose round 1 in this fight. Probably like Pineda to win round 1 is probably minus 250 or something, So I don't see how he wins in round one, but I think in 2 and 3 he can break people, even at this point of his life. He's kind of like lower Teixeira, I know, but lower level, of course. But you know what I mean? He's old, but he does his game and he makes it work. So we'll see if Pereira can get him early, though, because that's a very, very highly likely outcome also. Yeah, they can crack this guy, drop him, and maybe he subs him, maybe just ground and pounds TKO him, But if he doesn't do that, though, plus 475 TKO in 2-3 are gonna be, I think it's gonna be decent. So yeah, we'll see. 2-3 Elkins is probably not bad, but it's not the best line in offshore book right now, and I'm gonna wait for the other books to open it. But yeah.
Yeah, my thing with the sub is I just seen this dude Elkins put his neck in so many bad positions where the opponent didn't have the same guillotine mechanics as
Yeah.
Pineda, who I think might lock up that full guard. I don't think it's going to be easy to get a tap from Elkins, but we've seen him tap before, so that's all I need to know. And Rafa Garcia never got finished until last week, so it could always happen. He's getting older and older. I just think Pineda's got a good guillotine mechanics, and I think his power early on is going to overwhelm Elkins a lot. Elkins late for me, Pineda, round.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the best read on Elkins. I actually bet him against Mirsad back in the day. He was plus 500, I remember. That was crazy. And I was so happy when he knocked him out. I was like, yeah, it's comeback. I max bet Nylander against him. Probably not the best bet, but overall I'm probably down betting the guy. I don't have the best read. I try to stay away. Last fight I thought TJ was gonna get him, but he broke TJ. So yeah, and I had like Pierce finish in that fight, and the referee stood them up. Remember, it was so frustrating. I mean, maybe it's just luck with this guy, and I just can't read him. I thought Michael Johnson was gonna light him up and knock him out. He choked out Michael Johnson. He was probably big underdog there too. So this guy sometimes looks like, he cannot be stopped. And in some other fights, he gets like knocked out by Cap Swanson in 40 seconds. So yeah, he's getting older, and the damage is adding up. So Pineda may get him.
All right, watch it with the old guys here. Let's go. Let's move on, VB, and move on. Well, we're talking about a veteran here, the bantamweight division. How about 37-year-old Rob Font, from Tampa, but he's out of Massachusetts, 20-8, 10-7 in the UFC. The 37-year-old's lost 4 of his last 5, including a unanimous decision loss to Figueiredo as a $1.30 favorite. Last December, he's up against up-and-comer here, Kyler Phillips, at least really on the peak of his career right now. The native of Torrance fights out of Phoenix. VB's 12-2, 6-1 in the UFC. He's won 3 straight, including a unanimous decision win over Moonholes at 299 back in March as a 220 favorite on that night. VB got Font going out. You got Phillips coming in these bantamweights.
Kyler Phillips is my favorite fighter. I'm very pure on that, and I'm kind of biased though, with this fight. So I think he's the most well-rounded guy for maybe 7 minutes, and then he gets tired though. So once he's on, the guy is best, in my opinion, the best fighter. That's my opinion though. Some people disagree. A couple months ago when he fought in Miami, I posted some facts and myths and stuff, and I was talking Chito Vera, he won round 2 against Frankie. People think he was 2-0. And I said, Kyler Phillips is the best fighter in the world as a fact. And people are like, what the hell are you talking about? He's not. That's my opinion, though. I'm not saying he's the best fighter for 15 minutes. I'm saying he's the best fighter for 3 minutes. So, you know what I mean? I think his skills are very good. But he had Song Yadong confused, so bad in first 2 rounds. He was timing takedowns very few people can, he can strike very well, and when he enters the matrix, he's very fun to watch. So I think he's one of the more entertaining guys on the roster. And with Sean O'Malley and those guys he trains with, I think sky's the limit for him. But he has to get cardio together. If he gets cardio together in 5-round fights, he can be fun, And I think in the first 2 rounds, he's liable to drop anybody, hurt anybody, sub anybody. And I think he's super talented striker, and I think he can time shots very well. And I think Rob Font is the guy who also is a good striker, but at this point he's kind of older, and I think UFC trying to make, they're trying to feed Phillips Rob Font, in my opinion. I think Rob Font is kind of at the tail end of his career at 37 years old, and he got dropped a couple of times by Aldo. He got dropped a couple of times by Davison. He got hurt a few times. Marlon Vera put a beating on him. That's only a few people can take, but he took actually the beating in those fights. In 5 rounds, he was getting dropped. His 10-8 rounds, and stuff. But the guy didn't. Guy survived. But at some point, like, how many times can you survive those 10-8 rounds? And I think Alan Phillips is gonna knock him out this week. So knockout is plus 500 right now. It was plus 650. I think on the DK and FanDuel, it's gotta be probably like 700 range in my opinion. So we'll see. And you guys probably should wait and take it. And I think Rob Font's chain is probably gonna get dusted this week. And I also got Kyler in a parlay at minus 380. I think I got, but it's hard to trust Kyler during this kind of process because he always slows down late. But I think when he's on, like this guy, in my opinion, is one of the best fighters in the world. And people may disagree with me, but I'm high on this guy. I'll be high on this guy for a long time. And that Baiba loss looks bad in hindsight, but if you watch that fight, the round one was 10-8. Clear 10-8 round one. I don't know how two judges gave 10-9 in the round. It's crazy. He dropped like Baiba 6 times or something in round one. How is that a 10-9 round? What are you guys watching, He dropped him, he took him down, he mounted him. He did everything you can do in a round, and there was a 10-9 round somehow. And round 2 and 3 were super close. So like Baiba winning that fight is like that fight reminds me of Barcelos versus Valia, where Valia like got destroyed in round 1 and took 2-3 clear, like maybe barely, and he won the fight. If you remember the fight, it's a similar fight. So I think that was a BS. I think if they rematch, he would beat Baiba up, And he has some elite wins already. Sangui Adong is top 5 guy. Pedro Munoz is a good fighter. Barcelos, he actually beat Barcelos before. So I think he's going up and up from here. And Rob Font is the perfect fight for him, in my opinion. I think he will probably knock him out. I would say round 2.
All right, JB. Yeah, Font's had a pretty strong strength of schedule, certainly, but I would think at this point, I know BB's saying, feeding him to Kyler Phillips, but if you're Rob Font, you only want to take probably shots at this point. It might have been unfair to go up against Figueiredo, even though he was just he was favored on that night, as I said.
Yeah, for sure. The only worry, I do actually think Kyler has a wrestling path here as well. We've seen the takedown defense. Like, I think Font's slowing down. I think Kyler Phillips is still young. He's still developing, getting better. I think he's definitely in the best room probably for 135 pounders in the States, probably maybe in the world, So that's always a good sign as well. Whereas his opponent, I used to really be a big fan of the New England Cartel, but what was it really at the end of the day? Rob Font, Calvin Kattar, and they're starting to get older. They're fan favorites, but I just think at this point in the career, what's Rob Font going to do? He's going to out-jab him. He's going to chin him like Adrian Yanez, which I think was, just a crazy fight. I don't think Kyler Phillips is that, lackluster with his defense. I think he's able to mix up the martial arts. He'll mix in the wrestling, and that's going to open up the striking. The striking is going to open up the wrestling. So I think Kyler, could submit Rob Font. We've seen Rob Font submitted before by Pedro Munoz, who does have a good guillotine. But if this guy gets him to the mat, I do believe his jiu-jitsu is super dangerous as well. He's hitting triangle arm bars. I believe he's got calf sliders on the record. And the guy ground and pound nasty as well. He's got multiple ground and pound wins. So he's very accurate, very precise with the way he'll pummel for the inside position and then throw the elbows. Might force Rob Font to maybe give up his back, which I think he does a lot in the fights. So if he decides to just stay on his back for a lot of control time like he did in these past fights, he's gonna know that he lost the fight, right? So it might force him to say in these fights, instead of me just sitting on my back, I'm probably gonna try and get up. Where I think Kyler's got good back takes as well. I just think he's overall better martial artist at this point in the career and in general as well. So I think he could take him down. Think people think it's a big step up, but it's just at this point in Rob Font's career where he's at now. I think it's still a winnable match. Maybe the line is probably a little wide, but I think there's ways on the prop market, like my man VB said, to play this. 3 knockdowns for Figueiredo, I believe it was, or maybe it was Vero got 3, and then who else was it? Jose Aldo knocked him down multiple times as well. So I said it on my man Clint's podcast earlier this week on the chat. He disagreed with me. He doesn't think Font's chinny because, he's never been knocked out. But then we get a guy in Kyler Phillips with plus 600. And what if he lands that head kick? That's going to be a knockout. I have no doubt in my mind. So I like the knockout, but I could also see the club and sub. This guy's dangerous with the jiu-jitsu as well. Maybe I'm overrating Phillips, but I think he gets him out of there. People probably think it's going to go to decision. Even the under 2.5 might be a good price.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I saw the comment 2-3 Kyler. I actually think if it's a finish, it's more likely round 1 and early round 2, in my opinion. But it could be round 2 and 3. And like one thing with New England cartel, as you said, JB, is like there's a clear like weakness in that camp. It's wrestling, you know. Like look what happened to Kelvin Cater against Aljo, man. He looked helpless almost. So it's the same thing here. Rafan can defend and take down to save his life. Corey Sandhagen looked like D1 wrestler out there against this guy. So with one hand, don't forget. So those boys are very tough. They can take a shot. They can take a beating. Like Rafan is super tough guy, but they cannot defend a takedown. I'm kind of afraid that if he gets like Horton gets submitted with triangle or something like that a little bit, but I hope it's a probably like it's a knockout. I think it's gonna be like one of the standout performers on the card. This is a co-main event for a reason. I think Kyler Phillips is gonna do something spectacular this Saturday, and I think he had to go knee or something like that. Like big finish is what I'm expecting. So yeah, I can't wait for this fight. I think Phillips is gonna enter Matrix, and again watch that Sang Yadong fight for first 2 rounds. He looks like the best fighter in the world in my opinion, but then he gets tired, and that's a problem. If you look at like top 10 men, like he can beat most of these guys in 3 rounders. Like in my opinion, like he beats Marlon Vera in 3-round fight. I think he pieces Marlon Vera up. Marlon Vera is gonna probably get him in round 3 or maybe hold him in round 3 or walk him down round 3. 5-rounder is different, but in 3-rounder fight, I think he beats Marlon Vera. I think he's competitive with like Corey Sandhagen even in 3 rounds, So I think he's top 10 skilled level fighter, and I think Font is number 9, so he's gonna be top 10 and for real, and we'll see where they match him up. There are some bad matchups for him, like Peter Yannis Hernandez matchup. Umar is really bad matchup for him, but as far as striking, wrestling, and mixing it up, I mean, I don't enjoy many more people in MMA than Kyler, where he fights. So let's go.
All right, and we'll get to the main event in just a moment with Hernandez and Pereira. But first, don't forget to follow VB MMA Picks on X and pick up his fight card for this weekend, UFC Fight Night, Hernandez versus Pereira. Slide into his DMs here on X, and you can get VB's picks for this weekend. VB, not only do we have UFC, but we got a busy card this week throughout MMA. There's PFL, there's your favorite KSW, there's Brave, there's LFA. What do you have on tap for the subscribers? And over there at MMA Tips, getting those free tips to get your bankroll started.
Yeah, I took a lot of bets today for Contender Series as the lines open on DK and FanDuel. I mean, I have a lot of bets on this card. I have a max bet on this card. I have 300 bets on this Contender Series card, which is in 30 minutes. So, for sure, check it out. And Coach, we are not going yet. We have main event to break down. And I think that this week is super exciting to me. The PFL card is stacked. It's probably better than UFC, honestly. The main card is AJ McKee, and Hughes is a great fight, and Egaro Pereira is somebody's getting knocked out there. So it's a lot of good MMA events this week, and I think this is a sneaky good card for betting. This is the card that people overlook, and I think it's actually good for betting. So yeah, we'll see where it goes, and I'm excited for Contender Series, but it's unfortunately the last one, and make sure to go, and the link is down below, and check my plays out. So yeah, good luck everybody.
And check that out at betmma.tips and get VB's picks for the upcoming UFC Contender Series action here as soon as we get off the air, VB. So let's go. We got to get going. JB, let's talk about it. Got veterans here for sure in the deep middleweight division, but certainly 2 guys that we're familiar with. Going to create some excitement here on Saturday night. 30-year-old Anthony Hernandez from El Dorado Hills. He's 12-2, 6-2 in the UFC's won 5 straight, JB, including a round 2 submission win over Kopylov at UFC 298. He earned the performance bonus as a $1.90 favorite. He's up against 31-year-old fan favorite Michel Pereira from Rio de Janeiro. He's 31-11, 9-2 in the UFC, but he's famously won 8 straight now, including a round 1 sub win at UFC 301 in May. He was a 550 favorite on that night, and he's racked up a bunch of money in these performance bonuses here every time he goes out, it seems. So, hey, might not be the top ranked guys in any division, but what a matchup here. Fight night with Hernandez and Pereira, JB.
Yeah, man, this is a pretty binary fight to me, actually. I think this is either Pereira early via lateral movement, via you can't just get a hold of me. And that's going to take a lot of energy. You know, if Hernandez can't grab a hold of him, we've seen Pereira be more patient over time. He's able to get the strikes off. I got to go with the cardio here, though. Always bet cardio, right? We got to go back to that. And I think Pereira in a 5-round fight is going to slow down. We've seen it before, and we never seen a guy actually push the pace of wrestling. Sure, you might think Michel Pereira has this crazy, insane takedown defense, but we really just never seen it. And I think Hernandez really just needs to get him down 1 or 2 times, especially early. If you can get him down the first couple rounds, Pereira is not able to get up. He's able to keep rinsing and repeating the strategy, which he's been able to do versus other opponents. I think it's possible. I don't know how this guy made 170 VB. Pereira's a big boy. So early on in this fight, the flying knees are there. You got to be aware of the kicks. But this guy went 3 rounds with Andre Fiallo. Like, I was there for that fight live, and he had knocked out Andre Fiallo. I don't think who hasn't knocked out Andre Fiallo at this point? So that's sketchy to me. And then let's look at some of the names that he's fought. You know, I'm not the most impressed with the last few wins, in my opinion. Fluffy Hernandez, you know, he got that big win over Adolfo Vieira. I feel like that was so long ago, and he hasn't lost since. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I like Fluffy here, man, late. I like Pereira here early. I don't see any equity really for Fluffy early unless it's like a flash front headlock sub, which I don't see really Michel shooting. I actually see, if anything, Michel could maybe even get a club and sub. We've seen this guy get front choke before, and sometimes when you're getting beat out on the feet, you shoot a sloppy shot. This guy got a few subs in a row now. It's a standing guillotine. Sometimes you don't want to jump off that train too quick, right? So, yeah, man, I do like the grappling, and I do like this guy when he gets to the top position. I just think this is if it's in rounds 3, 4, or 5, and this guy's on top of Michel Pereira, I think he's live to do it either way, via sub. And plus 500 on a KO for a guy who's gotten 1 KO or 2 KOs in his whole career. You know, I guess Michel Pereira, I don't know if he's been subbed. I know he got KO'd by Dusko Todorovic. That was a little bit of a weird fight. I don't really know the backstory behind it, but apparently they cut like a ton of weight. They like mess with you when you go overseas. So could be that. Could be he just, you know, got beat out. We saw the fight with Tristan Connolly where the guy was more willing to do backflips in the cage. And he did it last time out, bro. He did the back. He should have got disqualified probably versus Ihor Peteria. In another world, he gets disqualified. So how are you really going to trust this guy? I kind of like the late KO props because we've seen him get the job done with some vicious ground and pound versus Edmond. I know Edmond's a fish and he gives up, but, you know, we never seen Pereira that deep in the water versus a guy who's going to push the pace like this. And plus 500 on a KO prop for a guy, like I said, who got 2 KOs, kind of telling for me. So I like the late ground and pound, maybe the 3, 4, 5 KO for Hernandez, or even 4, 5. And then I like 1 and 2 probably for Pereira. I think you get it done KO or sub. I don't think this fight goes the distance. And clearly the bookmakers don't either because it's minus 700. So that's my read on the fight. Pereira early, Fluffy late. And I generally think that Fluffy's going to be able to get a hold of him. But I think, like you said, he wants the KO bonus. I've been calling the ground and pounds as well. I think he's going to get it this time out, guys.
JB made light of it. You know, he's made $200,000 off of beating up the likes of Patera, Olajacek, Petrosky, and the Ponzinibbio way back. So, hey, just handing over money to this guy.
I mean, this guy is exciting, though. You know, you gotta give it to him. He does all kinds of crazy stuff in the cage. So, you know, he always got DQ'd. I had him by sub, and I was like, if they DQ this guy, I mean, I swear, I hope he gets cut. You know, but he, you know, the submission counted for me. I was happy. Plus 800 it was, I think. How is anybody to sub me? How plus 800? By the way, I don't get it. You know, like it's sometimes MMA can be generous, but sometimes You think like, for example, the back in the day, I max bet Anthony Hernandez against Kevin Holland, and I thought he was gonna destroy Kevin Holland. He got kneed one time, he was done. So when he loses, like probably loses by finish most of the time. And I think even guy like Edmund, he was throwing this guy around in round one. His wrestling is not super special. He's honestly nothing about him is super special, but his cardio is crazy. I think only way to slow Fluffy down is by going to the body. And Pereira goes to the body. He throws a lot of body kicks. He throws a lot of, crazy stuff. He throws like front kicks, a lot. So he may land something here and, slow down Hernandez early. But I think like one position that Hernandez likes is against the cage. He goes for a takedown, then takes back. He try to cook. Like he cooks then. I had like Opilov round one knockout, and I had like I think Max bet on Fluffy that fight too. If Kopilov was gonna knock him out, he hurt him a little bit in round one. But as he got tired, he was done. Fluffy was like clowning him in round two when he stopped him. So this guy's cardio is there. Even guy like Rodolfo Vieira, the black belt hunter, he was taking him down, but he gassed out because Fluffy just doesn't stop, scrambling around and stuff like that. So it's a weird fight because I think UFC is probably more excited about Pereira as a prospect. He's a finisher and he's like crazy. He's on 10-5 win streak or something. So he's a good fighter. But Fluffy is also pretty beloved in MMA space, at least. I'm a fan of the guy too. So I think it's a binary fight, as JB said. I mean, early Pereira by knockout or sub, by sprinkled sub, because Maluco, what's his name? Marcus Perez subbed him, and that guy is fighting with pillows these days. You know what I mean? So it's not a very good fighter. Like he literally is in a pillow fighting. That guy. He subbed Fluffy a few years ago. So like Fluffy when he gets hurt, he can be he can be finished. But if you don't knock him out in round one, or if you don't sub him, he's pretty damn good late. He fought even Brendan Allen in a 5-rounder. That was a very good fight actually, back and forth. And his wins are pretty good. Like Mark Andre Berrio, he cooked him in round three. Edman round three. Roman round two. So as the fight goes on, this guy, builds and builds and builds, and he gets finishes. So I don't think like it's impossible if Fluffy wins a decision, but it's probably unlikely. I don't think Pereira wins a decision. He's gonna be death gassed in round three, in my opinion here. So Pereira round one, round two, maybe early round three is probably okay. But in a small cage, I think Fluffy is the side here. I think this is the line where, if like Fluffy does what he does, he's gonna cover like big price tag. He can look like minus 300 here if he just takes a few shots early and gets it going. But I do think in round one he's gonna be in trouble. I do think in round one he's gonna get slapped with leg kicks and body kicks, and he's gonna get front kicked, and he's gonna get hurt a few times. Like Bishop Era round one, like 2 in round one should be like minus 500, because he's gonna probably do some damage in round one. But if Fluffy gets to round two, even I think now we can cook. So yeah, give me Fluffy. I bet him for 1 unit. I don't really love fading people who are on a 10-5 win streak. I would probably bet more, but I took it for 1 unit. I'm probably gonna regret it, because he may, he may just make it look easy too. But yeah, we'll see what Pereira does. At 185 though, he looks a little bit different though. Don't you think like Pereira at 185 JB is a little bit, how can I say, like he finishes people well, like at 170 he was trying to fight not to get gas and he was outponing. At 185 he has different kind of power. He just one punch knocked out Petrosky, for example, and he even hurt Mihav pretty bad before he subbed him. So what you think? Maybe this is different kind of fighter right now.
I mean, he does look good at the weight class, and like I said, it's the lateral movement early. The thing is, I would maybe look to live bet Fluffy here, but if he gets a takedown round one, then he's minus 220, right? What's the odds, right? So that's the one thing that would be cautioning me, but he could get chinned early. He could get club subbed early. So it's a tough fight for me to bet. I don't know if I'm going to have any action. If anything, maybe like Pereira 1-2 sub or 3-4-5 Fluffy KO, because I think a lot of people are going to be thinking it's KO for Pereira or a sub for Fluffy, which makes sense, like logically, but Pereira death gas is just either method for me. If he could sub him that easy at plus 185, it's clear he's got the grappling edge on the mat. So I think he could just outwork him. I want to see the face-offs, though, here. I want to look at both guys. I want to eye them down. If anything, I think more money will come in on the Pereira side. So for me, I'll just wait, see where this line goes, and look to bet it. Not sure about a
Yeah.
total, but that's where
Yeah,
I'm
the
at.
move, JB, the move, we've seen a 15, 20, 25-cent move on Pereira. You expect a little more? You think you expect a little more money on Pereira. Will the bookmakers adjust? We're looking this
Yeah,
line
I
moving.
think we see a pick 'em by Saturday.
Wow. Really? I think maybe 125 bucks in my opinion, but I don't think it goes below that. Maybe Fluffy even gets more action, but we'll see. You know, one thing with Fluffy is when he loses, he just looks like the worst bet or something. Like against Kevin Holland, he looked horrible, but in hindsight, it's like, oh, it's easy to say, oh, Kevin knocked him out, but what if he, didn't get kneed? Like then he probably, wins that fight. So it's this guy is a little bit hard to bet. I mean, he even stopped freaking Rodolfo Vieira, who may be the best freaking grappler in the UFC right now. So this guy is like inconsistent. He gets stopped by Marcus Perez, and then he stops the Aaron title, like no problem. Guy who's probably never been stopped besides that. You know what I mean? So he's a fun fighter for sure, and Pereira is too. So both of them are on a streak right now. So I just can't really bet anybody big in this fight because both of them have paths, and Pereira finish may be more likely than I'm thinking. Maybe it's super easy finish for him, and I think it's not. And I don't want to be too exposed in this spot because again, Pereira looks much better at 195 in my opinion than what he looked against Fiallo. He was getting walked down by Fiallo. He was getting walked down by Nico Price. These guys are not. I mean, Fiallo is not even in the UFC, and Nico Price is 1-4 last fives or something. So losing round threes to them is not a good look, especially against when you're going against like Fluffy. Fluffy's probably gonna finish you round three. He's not gonna Nico Price you and Fiallo just walking down and throwing 3 strikes a minute. He's gonna clinch you. He's gonna put you against the cage and take you down over and over. You get up, you go back down, and people just get exhausted. So yeah, we'll see. 3, 4, 5 is probably system play. So yeah.
Yep. You want to do a prop each, you said, before we got to go? I'm going to go eat some dinner, man. I'm going to go watch these Contender Series fights. I'm hyped up. So I think I already know what you're going to pick, man, but I'll let you say it.
All right,
My favorite
BB,
prop?
give us some props.
Man, I like a lot of props on this card. I don't know which one is better. This is a sneaky prop in my opinion, and people are not looking at it as much as they should be. But I will say this one because I already gave out Kyler Phillips knockout. So yeah, I'll say this. Alice Ardelan is at a distance plus 600 in my opinion. There is something to it because Melissa hasn't won a fight in 5 years, and the last win she had was in 2019. So Ardelan ITD is plus 600. And JB, you ready? You ready for this? Ardelan's 100% wins are by finish.
Yeah.
So when she wins by TKO or sub. She has like I think 5 subs, 5
Fair.
TKO.
Plus 600,
So yeah,
bro.
plus 600, and TKO is plus 800. So I'm not gonna
Plus 800. I'm seeing plus on Elise Ardeline.
Oh, my bad. Sub is plus 800, I think. Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, the KO is plus 1800 on Ardeline.
Yeah. The sub is. I mean, listen, man, Martinez is. If you tape him, you're gonna be. This is an interesting fight. And when girl has 4 subs and 4 knockouts or something, and only 1 decision, I believe, or maybe even 0 decisions, how is her ITD plus 600 against this girl who hasn't fought in a couple of years and last win was against regional fighter by split decision? Like, is Martinez even the UFC level? Ardelan ITD, boys. I mean, it's gonna hit. I think so. We'll see.
ITD, BB, and not just by sub. You prefer the ITD?
Yeah, ITD. Yeah,
What you say,
this
6 to 1, you said? Or 8 to 1? 6 to 1 or 8 to 1?
6 to 1, yeah.
Okay, got it. Let's pop it up there. Let everybody see it. All right. Appreciate that. JB.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna go with I don't think a lot of people are gonna be looking at this one though, but I'm interested in me some Jake Hadley this week. I like him. I think a lot of people don't think he could finish Brady Houston. I don't think it's going to be necessarily on the feet, but I think he's going to be hurting him on the feet just because I think he's the better striker. We saw it at 135. I know people are probably going to be low on Colin Loughran, but I think he's a good fighter. And I think we saw a good resurgence of him. Even if he gets taken down in this fight, I think he'll be able to use his jiu-jitsu, use the K guard, get back to his feet. I actually bet him as an underdog in the last fight, so I feel like I got a good read on the guy. Actually, jiu-jitsu is like really good. People sleep on it, and I wouldn't be shocked if he'll wrap up a sub in this fight just because I think he'll be piecing him on the feet. I don't think he's going to knock him out. So I think like a lot of his ITD method is either the club and sub or just a straight sub just because of how he's going to throw omoplatas, he's going to throw leg locks, he's going to throw triangles. And while I do think Brady's pretty good, he can grind these guys out. Like Garrett Armfield's a complete gasser, right? And I think he hits like a lot harder than Hadley, but yeah, I think the sub is live. That's all I'm gonna say. Plus 650 is taking some action. I think it's gonna get it. You're gonna get a better number on domestics. And like, look, he's won a decent amount of fights by sub. I don't think Brady Heastan's impossible to sub. He went the distance with Ricky Tercios, and he's on a couple win streak. But yeah, I like Hadley here. I think ITD could be sneaky with the sub.
I'm looking at it right now. He actually has 5 subs and three.
He is
KOs.
5-0 career to the sub.
Yeah, so I don't mind it. I think earlier I was looking at the line, and I really regret not playing Hadley at plus 150. But now it's like plus 120.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I will play him because, like in this fight, I think he may give up some control. Like he sometimes plays too much jiu-jitsu for my liking.
He looked good last fight though, bro.
Yeah, I bet him too. I was like.
And maybe you could say
Crazy
he's
line.
like a little more physical, but I think also
Yeah.
this guy's like super active with the jiu-jitsu, and he
And
might
he
just
still has no
use it.
chin.
Dude, the way he swept and got on top of Cody, like he's gonna attack leg lock, he's gonna use it to sweep, he's gonna get on top, and now he's on top of Heastan's trying to re-wrestle, and I think in those exchanges eventually he might be a step ahead of him and be able to wrap up some type of submission that Heastan's not able to escape just because of the level of jiu-jitsu. I think Hadley's got it's like live by the sword, die by the sword, right? Sometimes you rely on that jiu-jitsu so much, but if a guy's going to be attacking subs so much, it's kind of like how I feel about Davad tonight with the guillotine. You're just attacking that much. It's like the guy averages 1.5 submission attempts per 15 or whatever it is. I'm going to be looking into it.
Yeah, I think people are betting the other guy by sub. I don't see it happening because Hadley didn't get subbed by my boy Alan Nascimento. So I don't think Brady is the guy who sub him. So I think Hadley ITD is not bad either. I think, to be honest, I kind of lean more towards knockout because Heistan has 0 chin. But it's very easily could be club and sub. So
yeah, I don't think Hadley's got the power to hurt him necessarily. I know we're going into crazy details, but that's how I like to talk about the fights anyway. But I think he could hurt him on the feet. I don't know if he's going to put him away. And I think people are going to be looking into, he's only been KO'd. He's never been subbed, right? And then they look away from that prop because it's like plus 650. It got bet down. But I think plus 800 or better. You're talking, I think that's good money, buddy.
Good luck.
Thank you, bro.
All right, it was fun, man. Now let's look for contenders. Raymond, you got to join my space too. And JB, if you want to join.
Where are we going? Tell us, BB. Get us out of here. Where are we going next? And how do we get rolling here with Contender Series? Just a few minutes.
Yeah, I will be in some space in 10 minutes. Maybe I will start one. Maybe I will join someone else's. And yeah, I mean, good luck, everybody. I have a lot of bets on this Contender Series card in 10 minutes. And, JB, if you want to say something.
Thank you for having me, bro. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Man, I love us or hate us or fade, follow. I don't really care, man, but appreciate you just watching. And thank you, VB, for having me. Let's get this money today.
All right, bro. Thank you.
Thanks, JB, and thanks, VB. Yeah, be sure like this video, subscribe to our channel, VB MMA Picks here on YouTube. We'll be back again next week, VB. We're done with Contender Series, but let's go fire it up right now one last time for the season. Thanks to everybody also in the chat. Catch you next time with more VB MMA Picks.